if you can throw a strike, you can go anywhere. Like Maddox said it great. If you can throw strikes on the corners and you can mix up speeds and throw a curveball, it does not matter. It doesn't.
You are singing my song.
It doesn't matter.
Viva Cuba Libre! Welcome into episode number 13 of the Picked Off Podcast, the hardest hitting 30 minutes of baseball coverage you will get all week. I am your host, Bitter Mike Babbo, with my co-host, fresh from his MBA purgatory, a newly minted business school graduate, Mr. Eric Schuler. Eric, how you doing this afternoon?
What's up, everybody? I'm a new man. I am a new man, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
Now you're going to be 100% baseball, and we are in the glorious studios inside the Free Roam Brewery. It is a local brewery in downtown Boerne, and it is our honor and our pleasure to welcome in the owner of Free Roam Brewery in the Picked Off Podcast. He's a 14-year Major League veteran, 43 victories and 28 saves under his belt, three-time World Series champion with the San Francisco Giants. More importantly, he's a father of three and champion and advocate for children throughout the world, Mr. Jeremy Affeldt. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us. It is an honor and pleasure to have you here. How you doing?
Heck yeah, man. It's going to be great. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's appreciated. We very much appreciate your time. We're just going to go over your life story. I mean, it is a fascinating story. We just can't wait, and we're just going to jump right into it. Tell us about your early baseball development, because I was listening to your story, and it's just pretty amazing how you were an Air Force brat, really. I mean, you grew up in Seattle, right? Or no, you were born in Phoenix, but you grew up in the Seattle area. But how does an Air Force brat, a child of the military, become such an elite athlete? Because you're moving a lot, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Spokane area, which is on the other side of the state, but Washington nonetheless. My dad was Air Force, so he bounced around quite a bit. We were actually stationed in Spokane, Washington in the early 80s, and my dad was we were on the Air Force base. I kind of got introduced a little bit because all the Air Force kids, we have nothing else to do. We got to stay on the base, so if we're living on the base, we stay on the base. My dad eventually became an officer, and he can be off the base, but you're just playing sports, whatever sports was there, t-ball, basketball, whatever. So we kind of started there, and just like every other kid does. And then my dad got sent to Guam when I was in second grade, and that is when my baseball career probably really started, because that was when it was a little more advanced in the sense of, like, back then we didn't have coach pitch. We didn't have, went from t-ball, and I had to learn how to pitch right away. So in second, third grade, I was already pitching. And because that's how they ran the Little League over there. And I just remember my mom, we'd start out with white uniforms, and we had all the uniforms of, like, the pro teams. So we were the Cubs, just like they do here in Boerne, the Cubs or the Yankees or the whatever it was. I think I was on the Cubs. My uniform was stained red by the end because it was all clay dirt, so you couldn't even wash it. So it was pretty funny. My mom's early memories were he started out in a white uniform, and then he ended up being red by the end of the year. And I remember one significant thing that really kind of got me to where I wanted to become unhittable is I was throwing a ball, and I gave up a hit, and the guy hit a ball right back at me and hit my elbow, and I fell to the ground in pain. And my dad looked, and I had the seams of the baseball on my elbow, so they had to take me in to see if I broke my elbow.
Wow!
And they didn't break my elbow, but I remember the pain, and then I remember those seams that were on my arm from getting hit so hard, and then I was like, I'm going to learn how to pitch and not give up hits. And it was kind of, that's why I tried to throw hard.
Right.
And I just started doing that. And I don't know how it worked out. I always threw hard. Once I decided I wanted to throw hard, I just did. I went to Castle Air Force Base right after that. We got shipped back to the Bay Area, not the Bay Area, but this, Valley.
States.
So I was in outside Merced, California. And that's when my love for the Giants and A's came into play.
Okay.
And so I would go to those games. I would play. I'd always throw hard. I remember my first league coming back. It was a kid pitch, but you had to pitch to your own team. And they're trying to just teach you to throw strikes.
Okay.
And I'm like, in my head, that makes zero sense to me. Why would I want to give up hits? And why would I want to pitch my own team? I want to get guys out.
Right.
And so
you're not a batting practice pitcher.
Yeah, I was like, this is weird. So I remember this is weird, and they wouldn't let me pitch because I tried to throw hard, so I didn't get to pitch that year. And but I still wanted to do it. And then once I kind of got into the other leagues, I was in Merced for my 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade years. That's when I got competitive. Always threw hard. Played all the sports: basketball, soccer, and baseball were my three sports, flag football.
Which was your favorite?
Baseball was originally, and then in high school, I sat 30 seconds. I mean, I didn't play more than 30 seconds my freshman year. I went to a private school. They already had their kids that they wanted on the team. I never got to play. Well, that bothers me when people say that we're not going to let you play because we don't think you're good enough. I put a lot more effort into basketball and learning the sport and learning how to do it efficiently, fundamentally. Baseball was natural. I could hit. I changed a few things in my swing on my own because I really liked it. I'd throw baseballs in my backyard off of a wall. I liked playing first base. I played all the games in my head, like diving for balls or, seventh game of the World Series. I did all the same thing every other kid does. I just did it well. And so it was kind of a natural thing for me. Basketball I had to work so hard at to be good, and then by the time so I go to the Air Force Base in the summer of my between my freshman and sophomore year, and my sister was working there, so she'd take me and she'd drop me off at the gym, and I'd go play with all these ex-college guys that joined the military. They taught me how to put the knee out at the right time, throw an elbow at the right time, play a little dirty but get away with it type stuff, and the next thing I started loving it. And baseball I did all summer just because I was a part of summer leagues, but basketball I made my varsity team my sophomore year. I didn't even I went from right to the varsity and was all state there for a couple years, and I thought about going to play college basketball, but baseball just was it. I was throwing 85 miles an hour as a sophomore. I was throwing 90 as a junior. I was throwing 93 as a senior, and it was kind of writing on the wall.
Was there ever a fork in the road, because it sounded like you were being looked at by both high school, baseball and basketball programs in college? Yeah. Was there a time and to say, okay, I got to make up my mind here?
Yeah, my basketball coach Danny Beard came up to me. Great guy. He played for K-State back in the day in the 70s. Got drafted by the Bulls, threw out his back. And then he ran a thing called NBC camps out of the Northwest. He also ran what's called the Thunder team. They were basically ex-pro guys or European pro guys, and then some of the some big time college guys, and they would go scrimmage all the D1 schools. And he was my high school basketball coach, and he said, "Hey man, probably some rumblings right now with Gonzaga, but you're gonna have to give up baseball, and I got to teach you how to." Because I was a 4'5" guy. Well, at 6'3", that ain't gonna work in college.
No.
So even back then, it's not gonna work in college, and they're bigger now, obviously, but. So for me, I was like, he's like, I got to teach you how to be a 2 because that's going to be your spot. So I want to work with you. I'm like, Danny, it's not going to work out because I love baseball. Personally, I think my ceiling is probably in baseball over basketball. I said, I don't know where I can go if I'm going to go to college, if I go past college, but probably have a better chance. And I wanted to play sports. So I just kind of said, man, I'll just play basketball, but I'm gonna probably focus on baseball. And I was drafted in the 3rd round my senior year.
So Jeremy, in that same ilk, kind of tell us, this modern day. I got 5 kiddos, you got kiddos. Tell me a little bit, kind of what your thoughts are on this heavy specialization super early in kids' lives, right? So they're being asked to pick baseball at 8, 9 years old. Kind of tell me your thoughts about what you think about that.
I think anybody that's played professionally, I don't know a lot of guys. Mark DeRosa talks about it all the time on the network. This one sport deal is terrible because one thing you're doing is you're putting all the pressure on the kids to play one sport and pick it and just enjoy it and do it with the understanding that, wait a minute, what if I would like basketball or I like football or I like soccer or whatever it is I'm doing. Now I have to play baseball or I have to play only football or and I got to focus all on that. And what people don't understand is the psyche of a young man or a young woman. Because what's going to happen is it's like now they pick that, their parents pay. So now their parents say, well, you're playing year round. You're going to go see private instructors. You're going to go to camps, all these things. And what parents I don't think are understanding is the fact that kids aren't that dumb. And when they do it, they know. So my dad's put in $12,000 for me to get private instruction. Yeah. Another $7,000-8,000 to go play in these elite summer ball clubs. They're working their butts off trying to pay this bill. I have to perform. What if I don't do good? What if I get cut? What if I get the team, but I can't make? I'm not good enough to play all the time. And now my dad's putting all this money into me to get good, and I can't play all the time and so I got to get better. And it's a stress.
It's a lot of pressure.
And not to mention, if you have siblings, the resentment that they foster.
Yeah, because you're always out doing stuff with them. And if you don't pick the right sport, and for me, then what you see is dads are all ticked off because their kids don't want to play anymore at 15 because they had played 120 baseball.
Yeah, they're burned out.
They were
They're
10.
burned out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and they're not mad because they don't want to play. They're mad because I put all this money into you, and now you're not wanting to play. But the pressure you put on them, I look back at my parents, I'm like, Dad, what did you guys do? We didn't do anything. You want to play basketball? Go play basketball. You want to play soccer? Go play soccer. You want to play baseball? Go play baseball. Great. One rule my dad had, the only rule he had, if you start it, you can't quit. If you don't want to play next year, that's fine, but you can't walk out. I mean, he's a military guy, right? So there's some team scenarios. You can't just walk out on somebody because you don't want to play halfway through the year. You finish it. You be at every practice. Now, I mean, I've been at some of these young practices. Their parents are like, "Oh, Johnny's not going to be at practice." What? I've been a coach, and I'm like, "What? Why?" Man, we're gonna go to dinner. Okay, and then right before they'll be like, "Oh, Timmy's not going to be at the game on Saturday." What? Why wouldn't he be at the game on Saturday? Well, we decided we're going to go away for the weekend. There was nothing in my dad's mind. He was like, if you sign up to play, you will be at the practice, you will be at the game. That's the sacrifice we as parents make. You're going to sign you up, you're going to play, but you will be doing those things. And so you're getting a lot of like both and. Sports isn't that important. Being a teammate isn't that important. Or it's like
making a commitment is not important.
Yep.
And there's a problem.
Right. Or it's like overly commit to one side and you better come through because I'm working my butt off to be able to pay these bills.
Yeah, absolute pendulum swing for sure.
It's a hard deal and it doesn't make sense. And Mark DeRosa said it really, really good. I heard him say it the other day on the MLB Network. He's like, hey, how about play all your sports and when 17 comes around, we'll throw the dice and we'll see and we'll see what it looks like. If you're good enough, you're good enough.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And I tell these dads all the time, hey, man, you can go to all these special instructors. And all this. If you're not good enough, you're just simply not good enough to go to the next level. Now, you can get better by working with some of these guys, but I'm watching some of these guys that go to these they go to these hitting instructors, and I've watched them play. They're hitting singles up the middle. I'm pretty sure I'm not paying all that money for you to hit a single up the middle.
Yeah.
They're not even driving the ball because they've got 8 different things in their head that they got to get to in their hitting position before now I got to swing, and now it's just kind of okay, I'll hit that one, rather than like, I'm going to be right here, and if he throws this ball in this spot, I'm going to freaking wreck it. And that's how we did it as a kid. We wanted to hit doubles and homers. I didn't want to single at the middle. If I hit a single at the middle, fine, but I'm trying to hit a ball hard. These guys are just like, dink, and I'm watching singles, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of money being spent for a bunch of singles today. Like, so,
seeing eye ground ball.
You mentioned to yourself, too, because the kids, they're not dumb. I mean, they see the talent around them. They see their teammates that are much better than them. They see their people on the other team that are much better than them and say, you know what, I may want to try something else. So they kind of weed themselves out of it, too.
Yep.
It's unfortunate when they get burned out of it, because eventually the cream will rise to the top.
They will,
right?
100%, because there is a natural athlete. There are got to work. Some of them have to work harder than others, but there is still the natural athletics focus and perspective. And fact of the matter is, some things is just genetic. Hey, man, you're going to get to 5'8". It's not your fault.
Right.
It is what it is, and there's not a lot of perspective after high school at 5 foot. There's not coaches like, I'm looking for a 5'8" second baseman hit singles. That's just not happening. Like, I'm looking for maybe a 5'8". Well, you better show power. You better show like above average speed. That's the only way you get there. And there's going to be guys that are 5'11", 5'12", that are trying to throw. They just don't have arm speed because their body is saying you just don't have arm speed, and you're throwing 81 miles an hour as a senior. There's going to be some kid up there that's 5'11", 6'1", all of a sudden he lets it loose and it's 92. He's going to get the looks. Like, that's just it just is what it is. Or basketball. Hey, if you're not 6'5", 6'6", and you can't
toast.
There's no point. Like, go play high school. Great. Have a great time, because there you can still do that. But if you don't go to college and play, it's not really because you're a bad basketball player. It's just they're not looking for that kind of a basketball player. So you can't just focus everything on one sport or only sports. And I tell my son that all the time, and he's good about it. Like, you can't sing. I mean, he's 6'5", 250. I mean, he was the kid out there doing the air cannon, right? The golf thing.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, he's a big boy, right? Fact of the matter is, that's not a right tackle. That's not a left tackle in college. No. You're going to be a pull guard. You're going to be an inside tackle. And you got to hit dudes or be a tight end. That's if you want to do it. That's the area. And if you don't get a scholarship, it ain't the end of the world.
No,
you're smart. He's a smart kid. He's a 4.0 student. great business mind. He's really good business mind. Their entrepreneurial team the other day won $10,000, Texas A&M and in Bernie for pitching their idea, and they won it twice. Like, he's got a great mind, but be ready for other things. But when you go one sport, then the kids are like, I have to do this.
You have no plan
it's
B.
Weird. Yeah, it's weird.
It's rough. It's rough.
It's succeed up to the tip top or you're a failure.
That's right. Too
That's
much
not
pressure.
what we should be teaching the
That's
kids.
right.
There was a time where, sophomore year in high school, you mentioned, where someone said to you, you know what, you got a shot at this. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you remember that seminal moment? Or maybe it was your mom who received a phone call from your high school coach that said, he's far and above everyone else. I think he can go far.
Yeah, I do remember the moment. I was playing. So I went to a small private school called Northwest Christian in Washington, in Spokane. K through 12, 500 kids. It wasn't big.
Oh, man.
But we were a good we were actually a good sports school. We won the state championship like 7 years in the 90s. We went to state every year. Baseball, my group, my class, for whatever reason, were all really good baseball players. We went 16-0 every year, went to state. And we lost in the state champ. My senior year, we lost a tough game. I pitched in it. We lost a tough game. We had some good athletes. But the problem is we're at B. We're not. So it's not even in the A's. You got 5A here. We're all the way down to B.
Oh, wow.
So
you're tiny. Yeah.
We're playing Indian reservations, had 8th graders to be on the team to make up a team. And I'm throwing 90 miles an hour at these 8th graders. They didn't want to get in the box tight. They actually said they didn't want to. They tried to shake their head and said no. Their coach had to force them into the box. Right? So the level there was not great. And so we decided, about 4 or 5 of my teammates said, hey, in the summer, let's go try out for the AAA Legion. That puts us in with all the bigger A-ball schools. Let's see if we're good enough. So we showed up, and the coach said, where are you guys out of? We're at Northwest Christian. He's like, oh, no, I heard of you guys. You guys are pretty good. They said you got a pretty good baseball team, but your level's a little bit lighter. And like, well, let's just try out. We all made it. Oh. And we all played we all got an everyday slot.
Everyday players.
Yeah. Shortstop. My shortstop was a shortstop for that team. It was awesome. And I played first and pitched because we came in and we just could play. And we were facing a guy named John Barneson. John used to be our shortstop, and he left to go to Meade High School because he thought a bigger school would get him more notoriety.
Exposure.
He's good. He was a man-child. Sophomore year, he had a beard. I mean, the guy, still to this day, I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen someone so advanced. And I mean, he was a big guy, strong guy, fast, could play basketball, he could do it all. So smart, 1,600 on the SATs.
Wow.
And kid is like,
Genius.
Went to Stanford, right?
Awesome.
So he goes in, and I'm facing him, and all the scouts there to see him because he's a
stud.
He's a stud. He's smart. It's like either we're going to go to college or we're going to play pro ball. So we got to see what this guy can do. He could hit for power. And I remember I was facing him. I was a freshman. He was a sophomore. I pitched on varsity as a freshman, and I remember just seeing him, and I faced him, and we had a battle. I think I struck him out on either a curveball or a split, but it was great. It was just to see. Well, they were all there to see him, and then they're like, wait. Time out.
What just happened?
Who's that kid?
Yeah.
Like, we've even seen this kid. Like, we've seen all the high schools, and like, oh. So after the game, all I'm doing is just packing my bag up to go home. We played a game. So we played a game, and I was walking to my car, and some guy yelled at me, and I turned around. He's like, where do you go to school, son? I said, well, I go to Northwest Christian, small school. He's like, do you have any idea how hard you were throwing? I go, we don't have money at that school to have a radar gun, sir. I have no idea. He's like, all right. And he didn't tell me. He said, okay. He's like, all right, I need you to fill out this piece of paper for me. And I'm like, well, what is it? And he's like, I'm going to be at your next game. Bring it with you. But I need you to fill this out. And it was a psych eval. It was like, do you like to be in the cabin or you want to be in the city? Do you want to be? Because teams do all that because they try to figure out your mental makeup, right? So I'm like, psych eval. He's like, listen, I can't remember which team it was at that time. It might have been like the White Sox, somebody. I'm a scout for the White Sox. I just saw you play. And then I was like, what? He's like, the kid at short, John Barneson. I'm like, yeah. He's like, we saw you. He's like, I just want to let you know you're impressive. I just want to see I just want you to fill this out. Don't think anything more than that. I'm like, okay. So I filled it out, and I remember I took it home to my mom and dad, and my dad's like, what? I'm like, I swear. He's like, well, fill it out. But he's like, my dad was like, all right, well, whatever. They're probably they all got to find kids somewhere. Well, the next game I go to, there's like 9 of them in the stands, and I'm pitching, and all of a sudden I'm seeing these things being raised at me.
Now it's getting serious.
And I'm like, what is? So now I'm like, why is there so much movement? But I'm competitive. So I'm like, I frankly don't care. I'm freaking going to get this. I got to win, right? And all of a sudden, I get done. I zip everything up. My dad walks over to me. He's like, well, boy, you're going to have a hard time getting out of here today. I'm like, why? He's like, I don't know. All I was doing was I went over to those guys that were raising these weird guns up every time you threw. And I said, what are y'all doing? And he said, well, your son. Is this your son? He goes, yeah. Do you have any idea how hard your son throws? And my dad's like, I have to stand behind a trash can to catch him because I ain't catching it, and it hurts. And he knows he throws hard, but we don't know. Yeah, he's throwing like 88 miles an hour as a 16, 17-year-old kid from the left side with a pretty good curveball. Where you're going to see a lot more of us. And so I'm like, really? He's like, hey, man, don't let it go to your head. I'm just letting you know. Next thing you know, I had 6 psych evals I had to take that night.
Oh, wow.
And then my senior year, I had 20-some scouts at every game. I had Gonzaga, who I signed a full ride with. If I was going to go to college, I had signed a full ride to play baseball there.
Yeah.
Steve Hertz, great man. He's the AD for Gonzaga now. He said he came to every one of my games and watched every one of them. And he was like, you're going to get a full ride, period. That's the only way I'm going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I've seen all I need to see.
And I see all those over there, and I'm going to make it tough on you. So I'm going to give you 4 years, and I'm going to pay for your education, for everything, books, everything. Your parents paid no money for you to go to college at Gonzaga, son, and at that time it was $21,000 a year at that time. Now it's not $21,000, but it's a great school.
It's a super school.
So
my best man sent both of his sons there, and got a wonderful education.
It's great,
a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
So. And Jeremy, with that experience, with all that attention as a 17, 18-year-old kid, right, and obviously coming from a military background, like how did you stay humble? Was it your parents that basically said, hey, we're going to stay humble, military background? Like, how did you go about that?
Yeah, it didn't really stay humble. It just is. I mean, I was also really good at basketball, and you got to have some cockiness in that game, right? You got to. It is what it is. So there was some bantering, but it was friendly. It wasn't like I was like being a jerk, right? Mm-hmm. But I wasn't humble. I'd throw guys right at their head, scare them enough to strike them out, like just because I thought it was funny, because I threw hard. Yeah. And I'd I'd try to strike out as many guys as I could, and I threw no hitters. Like I was just everything was there. But I was humble enough in the sense of, one, I went to a really good school. It was a Christian school. There was some biblical scenarios there, obviously. I had coaches that were like, that's not how we act. That's not appropriate. So my school counselor, who I actually was a good friend with, I dealt with some scenarios as a kid with my dad being gone. So before he retired, he was gone in Panama my freshman year. So I didn't have a dad in a pretty important time. So I had to deal with my mom, and my mom was doing the best she could, but I got pretty rebellious. So I had a counselor there, Jim Moore, who's also the assistant basketball coach. Very good man. He was the head softball coach for the school as well, and he worked with me a lot, saying, hey, man, we're going to work on this, man, because you're good, but you want to be a good human. So let's look at this. So I had that. My head baseball coach, who was at my retirement ceremony when I retired from Major League Baseball, I flew him in and put him with me on the field because to this day I said he is still the greatest. If not, Bochy was probably the greatest, but this guy is still one of the best baseball coaches I've ever been around in my entire life. He's a good friend of mine today. Him and I golf a little bit when I go back up there. He's still involved in my family. And he put me in a fence one day. And he grabbed me by my chest and put me right into the fence. And he said, if you think that you're going to get to do whatever you want because you're big. He handled it great because he had to handle scouts. He didn't know how to handle scouts. He didn't even tell me when they were coming. They had to tell him, hey, we're going to come to the game. Where's the next game? He never told me a thing. He stayed with him. He's like, I'm not going to talk to you about it. You got to play for your team. Like, it ain't playing for the scouts. We're all out here. You don't get outs if we don't play. So I'll pull everybody off the field, and good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, because there's 8 other guys that you need.
Yeah, unless you strike everybody out. I mean, and then when I got cocky with him, I was like, well, I struck 17 guys out last game. So and then that's when he grabbed me by my chest, It was like, we're not doing that. And I got it because some of my best friends were on that team. And they would have been like, don't be a jerk, dude. We're all out here together, Right. So it was that, but I had great influences in my life, not just my parents, but my dad not getting too high or too low, too. Like, he was like, all right, we'll just deal with it as we
Steady Eddie.
He didn't get too crazy.
Well, he's a military man, so he's seen a lot worse.
That's right.
Baseball is just like...
That's right. And he's not going to be like, oh, my gosh, you're going to play. He's like, whatever. Like, you might go to college. We don't know. And then when the negotiations for money came in, my dad, he was like, we got to find someone to help you out. I don't know any of this stuff, but you still have a full ride sitting on the table. My mom wanted me to go to college no matter what. I got offered $217,000 by the Kansas City as a 17-year-old kid. My mom was like, he needs to go to college. My dad was like, he'll go to college after.
Right.
And Kansas City paid for my college education. They said, not only are we going to give you this money, we'll build in your scholarship. So we're giving you this scholarship, so you'll have college money. If it doesn't pan out for you, go to college. So then my mom was like, well, all right. Well, she got on board.
So you get drafted by the Royals, June, third round of the 1997 June draft, amateur draft. You get the call, time to report. What was the minor league life like?
Not like I thought. It was.
What did you think it was going to be, and what was reality?
Well, the Spokane Indians are in our town.
Okay.
So I was like, I kind of knew. I was like, oh, cool. We're going to be in these stadiums. All these people are paying to come watch you play. I'm like, and they're short A. They were like, there was 19, 20-year-olds playing on that team. So I was like, and I remember going to the game the day I signed. I went to the game, and they kind of had me stand up at the stadium because they were a Royal affiliate, Spokane Indians.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. So I was like, freaking, this is awesome. I was like, and then I get flown out, and I land, and I have my gear, but I just have baseball. I've never been, I got flown to Fort Myers, Florida from Washington. I've never been away from my family. And now all of a sudden I'm getting flown all the way to Fort Myers. The furthest possible distance you can go from Washington State is where I end up. And I'm on a plane. I get off. I'm just standing there getting my luggage, and a guy walks up to me, and he had a Royals shirt on. He's like, Jeremy? I said, yes, sir. He's like, I'm your ride. Let's go to the hotel. Went to the hotel. He's like, this is going to be your house for the next 3 months. I'm like, the hotel? Like, yep. And you have a roommate. Here's his name. Here's your room. Okay. Breakfast is at 6 in the lobby. Team pays for your breakfast. Then we get in vans and we go to the field. I'm like, okay. I get to this field. It is a bunch of baseball fields like you see here in Bernie. There is no stands. There's no stadiums. And I didn't understand. We were at the minor league. We were at the spring training complex of the Twins, but not in the stadium. That's A-ball. That's above Spokane. That's A-ball. We're on the back fields, and there's nobody there.
The factory.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, there's 60-some dudes in a clubhouse, and you're trying to play baseball. They got all kinds of different teams. You're scheduled to pitch at a certain day. You got to do all your work. You play at 1 p.m. in Fort Myers, Florida in the summer is not good at all.
The humidity is
terrible.
Completely different from any place else.
Yeah, you're exhausted. You have to work out in the morning. You got to do all your drills, and then all you do is scrimmage. The Twins guys' rookie ball was in the same clubhouse. We had a split clubhouse. They were over here. We played them all the time because they were right there, so we would just play each other, and it was like a pickup game. But you're wearing Royals uniforms, and you get paid, and you're like, the only fans in there were the girlfriends or the parents of people coming down to watch them play. And then they had rollovers. I mean, my first outing, we had to go to, I think it was like Pittsburgh or something, play Pittsburgh in Sarasota. So that was my first pitching outing. So I go to pitch. I gave up 3 hits in the first inning, and I all wanted to quit. I'd never given up hits. I gave up like
reality sets
10 hits my whole senior year. Because I don't play in that good of a division. So all of a sudden I get 3 hits hit off me. And there's these kids that are 16 years old, not speaking English, swinging a wood bat like a freaking grown man. I'm like, what? The level of competition went way up, and I literally wanted to quit. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do it. I made a huge mistake because now I messed up my college career. And I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, and he's like, son, failure is a teachable moment, dude. Like, you don't think you're going to give up a hit? I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be down there in Fort Myers if you were that good. So I'm like, so he gave me that perspective, but it was not what it had. And you were tired every day. You went home. You went right into your hotel, had your room set at 60. We got out the PlayStation. We played MLB with your roommate because you didn't want to go back outside. Once you got done, you were trying to get inside as quick as possible.
Right.
And the Dominican guys were great. They figured it out. So I was like, I got $20 a day is all I got because you had to go get your own dinner. So I'd walk across the Publix, buy a sandwich, come back and sit. And after my 500 sandwich, I'm over sandwiches. Well, then I see the Dominicans above, and I'm like, what are they doing? They're all hanging out. They're having a good time. They're laughing. I'm like, I'm not laughing. This sucks. I'm like, I got to figure out why they have joy. Well, one, they come from huge poverty.
Yeah, nothing.
So a hotel room for them is like, I'll do this. Yeah. I'll just do this the whole time. So they go in there. But then I walked into the room, and they all are cooking. And they took all their $20, and they put it in a pile, walked over to the Publix, got chicken, rice, some mix and mayo pot, and all of a sudden they've got a whole bunch of food. And I'm like, can I eat here? And they're like, they called me Flacco because I was skinny.
Yeah.
And like, Flacco, yeah. I'm like, $20. I'm like, here, I'll go
Sold.
in with you. Dude, I had some great food. I'm like, this beats public sandwich. They figured out they know how to survive. It was great. So you started learning culture, and that made it more fun. But the actual rookie minor leagues was terrible. Once you get up a little bit in the ranks, it's still bad, but it's more baseball, fans and stuff like that.
At that point, Jeremy, like what percentage of it is fortitude, meaning like just make it through that time? Like a lot of guys can play.
Yep.
Right. What percentage of it is, hey, we just got to make it through this time versus, hey, I got the game to go to the next level?
If you can throw a strike, you can go to anywhere. Like Maddox said it great. If you can throw strikes on the corners and you can mix up speeds and throw a curveball, it does not matter. It doesn't.
You are singing my song.
It doesn't matter. Because the hitter, it's all about add and subtraction. It's all about speed them up, slowing down. It's all about getting them to come to your timing on your fastball. And if their bat speed is 95 and you throw 88, they got to slow their bat speed down, and then you slow it down, and then you slow it way down. And then once they get your timing, you add up, in, out. So they told us the whole time, all of y'all would not have gotten drafted if we didn't think you could make it. The reason you're not going to make it is because you can't mentally handle it.
Wow.
If you can't mentally handle it, you will not make it. And because mental will affect physical. So if you're mentally not there, you're not going to physically be able to do it. You start doubting yourself when you pitch. You can't be in your full athleticism if you can't mentally focus on every pitch or every swing, or can you get through jams without tightening up. Everything's up here in the brain. And then your physical comes out. It's like everything else. It's like golf. You get it. If you're feeling good and you're not thinking, you reach back and you get that driver, whack, right down the middle, you're fine. Then you get to the driver and you're like, okay. And as you go to hit, you're like, oh, man, I got to avoid that water. You tighten up, you lock up.
You have 15 things going on in your head.
Spin the ball off.
Yeah.
It's really just because you can do it, and everything eases up. But guys cannot handle it, and that's why they put you through the ringer. Rookie ball, especially as a kid. Rookie ball, short A. I didn't get to go to short A. They thought I would be too distracted because it's in my hometown. So they didn't even let me go there. They sent me back to short A, or to rookie ball, for a few months the next year, and then sent me up to A-ball the last month. They made me double up because they didn't want me going there. So, but you got rookie ball, short A, high A, double A, triple A, and then the big leagues. And most guys don't get past A-ball. They can't mentally. They get married. They find a girl in the town they're in. Next thing you know, she's pregnant. Now I got kids and making $600 every 2 weeks or $600 a month. That ain't going to work. So they get distracted.
They got external influences also, too, saying, hey, it's time to stop this and start growing up and raise your family.
Yeah, I got to raise my family. You can't do that. So then guys are like that, and then guys are like, some guys are lifers. They'll get AAA, and they'll stay there till they're 33.
Wow.
They make $15,000 a month in AAA. Some of them, they'd be like, whatever. I'll have to work 2 jobs. Some of those guys are lifers, but most guys can't hack it. When they get to AA, huge jump. The biggest jump is from A to AA. Because AA guys can hit a breaking ball and they can smoke a fastball.
Really?
So that's when you go, okay, now I got to be a little more efficient with my stuff. AAA, they don't hit breaking balls as good because you tightened up your breaking ball. They can crush a heater. Then if you spend too long in AAA, you're facing all the little veterans that are crafty and they're sinking it and like put a little spitter on it. They're being a little bit of a crafty pitcher now because they got some veteran. Some of them been to the big leagues. They come back down so they can mess with you a little bit. And so now that's why those guys don't hit breaking balls because they might be seeing a lot of them, but there's a lot more movement and weird stuff going. They're making up pitches. But if you leave a fastball over the middle of AAA, it is not coming back. And
that is some incredible insight.
Yeah,
man.
it is not. And then you get to the big leagues, it's about pitching to a hole. A good big league hitter has groomed his swing to hit 300. That's 3 out of every 10 at-bats. He's going to hit 1 to 2 in his spot. If he sees it here, I'm going to hit it hard. I might not get a hit, but it's going to get hard every time in this location. Then I'm going to get a ball outside my location. I'm going to try to fight it off just to be. Hopefully you'll make a mistake in mine. So fouls a lot of times are just staying alive to hopefully you make a mistake. But all of a sudden you don't, and they might take a swing and they jam themselves and it bloops over. That's their third hit. That's what good hitters do. So bad hitters try to hit everything. Good hitters do not. So now you get to the big leagues, the guys that can throw strikes will do really good at first because they're like, hey, kid, I'm going to put the glove. You hit that glove. And they do it. They start carving guys up. boom, boom, boom. Like, wow, the next freaking Nolan Ryan, greatest thing ever. About 3 weeks in, scouting report comes out. He likes to live over here.
Report, right.
Boom! Then they got hit. Now they're getting rocketed, and then it's like, well, you better make an adjustment. Well, now they're panicking, and now that curveball isn't so easy to throw, or they're, and so they're making an adjustment. And so that's where it comes different. You got to repeat and pitch to the hole. Can you hit that hole and throw to that with your stuff? Can you throw to their weaknesses? And that's how you stay alive. Most guys cannot do that. They don't get past a ball. They just can't. They mentally crack.
Yeah, I love the nuances. I'm a huge baseball fan, been a huge baseball fan, played, but, I mean, you just blew my mind right there. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing stuff. It's incredible. You go through the bus rides and just the meat grinder that is a minor
That's
leagues.
mental, too.
Yeah, it's all mental. I mean, hell,
Bull Durham.
Yogi Berra wasn't dumb. He said 90% of this game is half mental, and truer words are never spoken.
Yeah.
So you finally get to call up with the Royals back in 2002. You make the team out of spring training, right? Talk about those early years, especially with those notable players like Carlos Beltran, Jose Lima Time, the Rookie of the Year, Angel Baroa, Zach Greinke, who is an interesting character in his own right.
Yeah.
I mean, what was early life like? I mean, I'm sure from what I understand, like Mike Krukow always says, you always see the recent call-ups because they don't blink their eyes.
They don't. It is a lot. So when I was 2002, I was in spring training. I was supposed to go to AAA. It was my second big league camp. I got put on the 40-man. So my double year, I got into big league camp for like 2.5 weeks. They just wanted to bring you up there, so it was like send you down AA and I'll go play. Yeah. So this next time I'm supposed to start in AAA. I get brought up big league camp, same thing. But now they want me to face guys because it's like, well, you're gonna be in AAA facing guys that have had big league time. So you got to be able to pitch to that level. So I stayed in camp, and all of a sudden, I don't know what I also grew into my body a little bit, got stronger. All of a sudden, I started going from working at 92 to 94 to easy 94, 95, coming in spring training. And everybody's like, what the? Because once I got drafted, I threw hard as a high schooler. When I got drafted, I backed down my velocity because they said, now we're going to teach you how to throw a strike with it. You can't just throw it up there. They're not scared of you, right? So I had to lower that, and then I got back into it, refined my curveball. And then, so now I'm in camp, and no one throws, they're like, you're throwing 94 miles an hour in camp? Like, how many bullpens do you throw? I'm like, well, I got ready like I normally do. I got 5 or 6 bullpens. Some of those guys don't get ready till camp, right? But those are the guys that are already on the team. So I had to be ready, and they're like, so I started pitching. And I remember I started getting so much confidence. I was just throwing, and I was striking out. Piazzas, these guys coming up. I'm like, oh, and everybody's like, what? But I wasn't going to get the start because you have Paul Bird, you had Suppan, you had guys that were like Chris George, the first rounder,
established major
Chad
leaguers.
Durbin. Yeah, guys that are already going to start. So I had to pitch out of the bullpen. I was just getting my inning. And so they had to try to make a decision because it's like, hey, so now all of a sudden I got 9 innings, no runs, and like 10 punch outs. They're like, well, this is weird because we didn't really need them to do this good. Because you're the Kansas City Royals when you stink. They lost 100 games a year. You send that kid down, they're like, the media was they were writing articles. This kid better not get sent. They were firing on him so bad because it's
they're saying, how bad can he be? We already stink.
Yeah.
Let's try something new.
Yeah, and see what he can do,
right?
And so it's like, but then they're like, well, we got to make a decision because if he's going to pitch in AAA, he's got to start. We got to get his innings built up. And so then they started giving me 2 innings in the big leagues, like pitch 2 innings. So I throw 2 innings, get out of it real quick, and they're like, well, you got to go finish down there. We got to get you up to 50, 60 pitches. So you only threw 30 in 2 innings, so now you got to go finish
go
your
back
30.
To the backfields.
So I go there and pitch, right? Or I even face hitters sometimes, like go face some more hitters. And so then they were getting there, and then so they were trying to get me to fail. They would send me on every road trip, and I wouldn't even pitch. And I'd get home at 8, 9 o'clock at night, get up the next morning, get to the field at 6, and they'd be like, because in Florida, it's not like Arizona. Florida, you got to drive 3 hours. Arizona, you drive like 10 minutes to each team, right? So we're doing that, and I'm like, so I get up, and I look at the game chart, I'm on there again. And I'd be like, as a backup. I'm like, I'm backing up again. Again, they're trying to mentally, I didn't know at the time, I know it now at the time, they're trying to get you to like get frustrated because they need you to fail because they got to have a reason to send you down. So they're like, you're going again. So I started figuring it out. I do the game chart. So so I get in the next morning at this one, almost like 2 weeks left of camp. There ain't a lot. And I'm like, so they say, you're going. Okay. So I pack up my gear, and I get on the bus, and they throw me the game chart, and they say, just sit in the bullpen and do the game chart. So I'm like, all right. So I got to
Wait, when you say you're going, that means you're breaking camp with the Major League team?
No, you're going on the road again.
Oh.
Like, again, I'm going to another game. This is like 8 games in a row, and I've only pitched in 3 of them.
Okay,
I'm
gotcha.
just on the bus again, just wearing me down. Everybody gets to go home, have dinner with their wives. I'm on another bus ride.
They're just putting you through the mental ringer.
Yeah, they're just trying to, because they got to get you to fail. So I'm sitting out there, and we go to Cleveland. It's not that. This one's only like a 45-minute bus ride. We go to Cleveland, play the Indians, and I'm like, all right, which is just up the road from Haines City in Orlando area. And I'm like, all right. So I'm doing the game chart. I'm sitting there, and we have another kid that they had Rule 5'd. So he has to make the team.
He has to make the team.
So he has to pitch. Somebody, I can't remember who started that game, but then he goes into pitch. So he goes into pitch. Asensio is his name. Asensio goes into pitch. I'm just doing the chart. I'm not even paying attention. I mean, I kind of know, but I'm like, I was doing the chart, and then they said, give the chart to this guy because you're a backup, so you might have to go get your cleats on. So I gave it to the chart. I think Dan Reichert was the guy I gave the chart to, who was a starter. He got done pitching. He pitched, so he got done pitching, I think, and then he had the chart. So I'm just sitting down there. I'm not even paying attention because I'm like, I'm just sitting around every game, like whatever. All of a sudden, the phone rings. Bullpen coach. He looks at me. He's like, "You're up," and I'm like I'm
up what?
Pitching? Yeah. All right. I'm used to not pitching. Like, I don't know. So I just get up. And I started warming up. I'm not paying anything that's going on in the game. I'm just getting myself ready. And all of a sudden, our manager goes out to the mound, and he goes and I got like 8 pitches. Yeah, they warm me up quick. Again,
yeah,
they're trying to see if you can do it or fail. So I only had 8 pitches, and I run into the game. I don't even know what's happening. All I know is I'm in this game. I finally get the pitch. I warm up. Brent Main is warming me up. Muser hands me the ball and says, "Good luck." I'm like, that's a manager's, okay. Thanks, skipper. And I didn't know why he said good luck.
Not quite Nuke Rockney.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know why he said good luck. I'm like, thanks. Thanks
Work
for the
fast for that long bus trip.
Yeah. So Mainer's calling pitches, and he's warming me up. And I I said, I'm good. So I get the ball, and I step on the back of the mound, and I look down. All of a sudden, people start going, they're cheering. And in a little bit of my arrogance, I'm like, man, these guys must know that I'm doing pretty good. Everybody's cheering. They announce my name. Freaking great. But I'm in Cleveland. Like, what? Well, I look up, and it's Jim Thome.
Oh, gosh.
Is in the box. Lefty on lefty. And I look, and I see Jim Thome, and Brent Main takes his mask off. He's like,
you got this.
What? And I didn't even know what was happening. We have bases loaded. They put me in bases loaded against Jim Thome. I got nowhere to put him. And I'm like, what? All right. So I step back off the mound, and I'm like, all right. Been a hero. I've been watching this kid since I was in high school. I mean, this guy's in high school. I mean, he's amazing.
Future Hall of Famer.
I'm like, this is amazing. So I'm like, all right. And Brent Main's like, we got it. Just stick with me. I'm like, all right. So he fastball away. Throw a fastball to him. He takes it. He steps to the box, and he looks down at he looks down at Brent Main. They say something. And he's like, just kind of shook his head, and he gets back in the box again. He points at me, does his little thing. And I'm like, oh, man. Curveball. Boom. Throw a curveball. He ducks like this. He literally ducked the other way, came right back to the plate for strike 2. And then and then it was hilarious because now that I see it, so at first I'm like competing. So I stand, I'm trying to look at him, and he freaking puts his head over the plate like that, and he's like, okay. And I'm like, okay. So and Maine's like, we got it. So fastball in, wham, ball. All right, curveball away. Takes it, spits on this one.
Yeah.
Pretty close pitch. Probably if I had some veteran scenario, I'd probably ring him up, but the umpire's like, screw you, kid. Ball, 2-2 count. I'm like, oh, okay. And Brent's like, man, he goes fastball away, outside, up. And I'm like, and I didn't have a 2-seamer at the time. I went through 4-seamers. And I reached back, and I freaking let that thing go, and Jim swings at it, and he swings right through it for strikeout. And I was like, oh, but I was like, but you can't do that on the mound. No. Yeah, I'm like, so I just get up and I start walking off, and everybody runs off. And Muser and those guys, they don't even want to give me a high five because they're like, dang it, like they told me after they were like literally trying to get me to give up a freaking bomb, like, and they're like, good job, kid. I'm like, thanks. And while I sit down, my heart is coming freaking out of my chest. I'm like, I just struck Jim Thome out with bases loaded. Are you freaking kidding me? I'm like, this is the greatest day of my life. But I'm sitting there, but I got to be calm. And I was waiting to go back out. I'm like, I'm probably going to go back out. And they walked up and said, you're done. Go ahead and shower. And I'm like, all right. And the last day of camp comes. They take a Daryl Mays, the other lefty, came out of Japan. He's starting. So they tell him he's on the team for sure. Then there's another guy, side armor, and it took him. He was 5'10", but he's kind of submariner, right? Pitcher. End up coaching and pitching the big leagues for Milwaukee for a while. They take him, and there's no more spots, and they don't tell me anything. So I'm out there in practice, last day of camp. Like, there's one more game tomorrow. So the second to last day, they tell everybody's giving congratulations, great job, way to make the team. Everybody's happy, and I'm just like, what? I just had 16 innings. Like, I don't think I give a run. You know, I'm like, how is this? I'm going to AAA, and I'm so frustrated, and I'm not even paying attention to the drills, and they're laughing at me. Roberto Hernandez, closer, he's laughing. He's like, yeah, you're up, dude. Get out on the mound. I'm like, oh, sorry. They're laughing. They're like, quit freaking pouting, dude. Go out there and freaking we're still doing drills. They knew. And I'm like, whatever. So I did a drill, and we go inside. I eat lunch. I'm just sitting in my locker. We're about ready to go because the game, they haven't told me anything. Going to the game. We're going to play, and I'm sitting there, and Nipper comes up to me and says, Aff, we need to see you in the office. I'm like, all right. So here we go. I'm going to send down AAA. Try to keep a good attitude. Man, you're 22. I was telling myself everything. Just, hey, like, whatever. So I sit down, and Muser looks at me, and Nipper's sitting there. He's like, well, how do you feel about double-decker stadiums? I'm like, whatever, because AAA has them. So I'm like,
sure.
I guess they're double-deckers. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I just got to do my job. He's like, well, where we're going, there's 3 decks. And I looked at him, and I said, what? He said, son, where you're going, there's 3 decks. Can you do it? And I went, what? He's like, son, I'm telling you, you made the team.
That'll do it for part 1 of our interview with Jeremy. Thanks for listening in, and stay tuned. Next week, we will continue as Jeremy takes us through his career as a major league pitcher, his championship runs with the Rockies and Giants, and what he is now doing in the community and throughout the country helping exploited and abused children. You won't want to miss it. Until next week, this is Bitter Mike saying thanks for joining us. See you.
I said, baby, don't you